The law can be scary for anyone facing a court case. It's especially frightening if you can't afford to hire a lawyer. Did you know there's a free resource available for anyone in San Mateo County who needs help navigating the legal system? It's the San Mateo County Law Library, and it offers a number of free services to residents. Here to tell us about it is Caroline Bracco, the director of the San Mateo County Law Library. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Is the law library just for lawyers?
There's actually two big misconceptions about the law library. One, we are actually open to the public. We're not just for attorneys. And in fact, the San Mateo County Law Library is the only law library open to the public in the county.
Really?
Yeah. The next closest you would have to go to either San Francisco or San Jose.
Oh.
The universities do not open their law libraries to the public.
Oh.
And then the second great misconception is our funding. A lot of people tend to think that we're funded through taxes, but our only source of income is actually coming from a portion of filing fees. And each month, those are collected and divided out among the different counties.
Why do we need a law library?
Well, the court system can be intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
For attorneys and the general public, but it really helps if you have someone that can help you, that's familiar with the systems, that can hold your hand through the process. We like to think that we're a halfway point between a regular library and the courts. So we're building off of a non-threatening way of engaging with civic duties and the law.
So when a person comes into the to the law library, they're not really on their own? The librarians are there to actually assist them with law questions and things?
What we like to do as soon as someone walks in the door is approach them and say, hey, do you need any help?
Oh.
Sometimes people know exactly what it is they're needing help with. Other times they're just interested in seeing what the law library has to offer. But very often, if a person is not an attorney, they're interested in representing themselves, which has a long history in America. Actually, the Judiciary Act of 1789 actually specifies the right for people to be able to represent themselves. Mm-hmm. And with the rising cost of attorneys' fees, people are finding that they need to represent themselves.
It's too expensive.
Yeah, so they're coming into the library hoping that they can take care of things on their own. And we try and walk them along the process.
Oh, that's really nice that people are there to get the resources and to get some human interaction as well, right?
Yes, yeah. Now, oftentimes that will involve interacting with an electronic resource or the books, but the idea is to get them going to then engage with the material on their own.
Yeah, you brought something up that poses the next question. I mean, we can find anything really on the internet. So if everything's on the internet, then why go to the library?
Well, as you know, there is a ton of information on the internet.
Yeah.
Not all of it is good information.
There you go.
And when you don't know what you're looking for, everything looks like the right answer. So when you can have someone that is familiar with the correct resources and the reliable information, then that's going to help you tremendously in cutting out the chaff and getting right to the core of what you need to get done. The other thing I'll say is that there's actually two parts of the law. There's primary law, that's the state laws, codes, statutes, cases. Those are available for free online. Mm-hmm. However, there's this other thing called secondary law, which are known as treatises, and they sort of explain how to use the law. Now, those are not available for free. Those are owned by very big companies. And I like to oftentimes explain it. The primary law is like the ingredients, right? Mm-hmm. And the secondary law is like the recipes.
Oh, okay.
But if you want a meal, you need the recipe, right? You can't just have the ingredients. So what we like to do is let people use those resources that are going to help them to use the law effectively.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What I would think if I'm in a predicament with the law. I mean, I know that I probably wouldn't be able to hire an attorney because of the cost, but I'd be really scared to represent myself. Why represent yourself?
Well, the cost of legal representation has gone up tremendously, and so in response, people are choosing to represent themselves.
They're kind of forced
They're
to represent
they're
themselves.
often forced to represent themselves. Additionally, sometimes legal processes are the type that are so simple that an attorney isn't going to really want to take that on.
Can you give us some examples about
Sure.
that?
Let's say you want to change your name.
Oh, okay.
You know, you want to expunge your record. You want to fight your traffic ticket. These are things that an attorney is not going to have any kind. It's just not really worth their time. So someone is going to have to represent themselves in those situations. I would also say that with the rise of YouTube and the internet, eHow, there's this maker spirit going on, particularly in the Bay Area, where
Sure.
people think, I can do it myself. And we like to provide the tools to allow people to do that.
That's true. I think
Yeah.
YouTube has become kind of the visual how-to nowadays.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a great resources.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the exorbitant costs for attorneys, it sounds like your library is busier than ever, I would assume?
It is busier than ever. However, our funding has actually decreased quite a bit, and so we're not able to offer the types of resources that we once did. We still offer, we're actually very proud of our expungement services, so that's for people that are looking to clean up their court record, say they have a misdemeanor or a felony. There's a process that you can take to get those reduced or dismissed. Very helpful when you're going out to apply for jobs, or if there's a job that you already have. They're starting to crack down and say, hey, you have to go back and clean up your record if you want to keep your job. Ownership of changing, let's say, a house, if you're selling it, if you want to deed your house to your child, it's strangely a difficult process. So those kinds of resources remain, but we've had to cut back on our hours, which means that we can't offer those services to as many people. We're actually limited to the workday, so we don't have too many hours where people can come in, say after work, to take care of their legal issues.
Yeah, I think I read that you had to close when you would normally be open. You had to kind of cut back your business hours.
Yes.
So how are you dealing with that drop of income other than just your hours?
Well, we've had to cut a lot of the collection. We are now mostly focused just on California. We used to have a whole federal law collection as well, but we've had to cut most of that. We no longer have any tax materials.
Oh gosh, that's a big part of the law.
Yes, it is a big part of the law.
Yeah.
We've cut back on staff, and
So it makes your job a little harder now too.
yeah, so once upon a time we're a staff of 5, now we're a staff of 2. But we try to make do with what we still have to still offer those same resources. And another thing that we've had to do, and which I think has helped bridge the gap, is offer a lot of our resources online through our website at smclawlibrary.org.
Okay.
And those have specified step-by-step guides to help people through the most common legal processes.
They could probably start, your website would be a great place for them to start it.
Yes, yeah, you can see what we have to offer, and you may find your answer right there.
So with all the cuts that you guys are going through,
Mm-hmm.
how are you supplementing in any other ways?
So we're actually a government entity, so we're not allowed to solicit funding.
Oh,
yeah, so
okay.
we've actually, in the past couple of years, formed a foundation, the San Mateo County Law Library Foundation, which has been an
great.
enormous help in raising awareness about the law library's financial issues, and has also helped to raise funds to reestablish those Saturday hours. It's also really helped us with our local, being in the public eye a bit more, so that the county's actually recognized us as well. and given us an amount of money through Measure K to keep us open in evening hours as well.
Oh, that's good. So
Yeah,
things
so
are
one night a week.
So
Yeah.
they are improving.
Yes.
Slowly but
Yeah,
surely, they are
yeah.
improving.
The issue comes in with the fact that because more people are representing themselves, along with fees for court filings going up quite a bit, a lot of people are choosing not to file at all. And that means zero money for the law library. And if they get a fee waiver, zero money for the law library.
Right.
So our funding has dropped significantly because of these things.
And the
Yeah.
foundation will really help with that?
Yeah, it's trying to fill the gap there. Additionally, most exciting was back in June, the governor signed his budget for the year, which included a $16.5 million kind of backfill for the last 8 years that have been really rough to help the county law libraries, because we are a system throughout the state. It's actually quite unique. California is one of the only states that has county law libraries that makes their law available to the public for free.
Really?
Yeah.
California is the only state?
It's not the only state, but it's
One of
the
them.
most organized.
Really?
Yeah, and the biggest.
Why do you
So-
think that is?
Well, when the state was being founded, it was a time, San Francisco was sort of the nexus of everything with the gold rush, and people were coming in with these new ideas and these ideas about the future. And with the influx of people and merchants coming in for the gold rush, a lot of attorneys also came out. And because they were out in the Wild West, you know, there wasn't that access to materials that they would have when they were back east. So a lot of the attorneys would get together and share their resources. So actually the first law library was in 1853 in San Francisco.
Wow.
Yeah, a gentleman dedicated his collection to the city and said,
Yeah.
let's all share it. And then it was through statute established that San Francisco would have a law library for its public by 1872.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the rest of the state adopted that in
Interesting.
1891. So it's been around a while, and there's 58 counties. So there's a lot of there's at least something resembling a law library in each county. Now, of course, some counties get more funding than others because they have more filings going through. So there's a variance between the law libraries and the resources that they can offer.
And there's other states that don't offer a law library? Really?
No, there's not many that offer a public law library. Oregon has some. New York has like a couple, maybe 3. Tennessee, oddly, has a good system. Texas is probably the next largest system to California, and
You
they
know,
sort of came in at the same time.
At the same time. The law is evolving, and it's always changing. And I mean, we're not using the same laws that we did in the 1800s or even in the early 1900s.
Right.
So how does the law library keep up with that?
Well, that's part of the problem. We're based on this financial system for funding that was developed in 1870s. And
Wow.
yeah, as a result, a lot of the libraries have had to turn to creating foundations and setting up their own systems of supplementing the income, charging for services that used to be free. But
And you guys are not charging anything now, correct?
we charge, well, for use of the photocopier and the printer, we charge for paper. If you use beyond your free time with the databases, there's a fee for extra time. You get an hour and a half for free.
Oh, okay.
And then past that, it's 2 hours for $10.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, we think it's okay. Some people are not super excited about it. And then, let's see, we charge for certain materials that check out to attorneys.
Okay.
There's small fees for materials that traditionally have always remained in the library. We allow them to go out for 24 hours with
That
the
was
attorneys.
that's my next question
Yeah.
is can people check books out?
So only attorneys at this point can check materials out.
Okay.
They're exorbitantly expensive materials.
Sure.
And
Books are expensive.
Yeah,
Legal
books are
books,
expensive,
yeah.
and legal books are even more expensive. It's strange because back when these law libraries were created, they were exorbitantly expensive to have books, and they've kind of gone this full circle to be back to rare resources or valued resources. A lot of private firms have cut their print collections altogether, which is difficult for people that maybe didn't grow up with the internet or aren't familiar with databases. They're so reliant on books, and personally I think the combination of having print resources and electronic resources is going to get you the best research if you're trying to attack the court system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is your law library located?
We are across the street from the courthouse in downtown Redwood City.
Redwood City. Okay.
Yeah.
Great place for it.
Yeah, right across the street, 710 Hamilton. Just a little place right off the side of the courthouse square. And yeah, we've been there since 1984. Once upon a time, we used to be in the courthouse, back when it was in the old
Oh, wow.
courthouse.
Yeah, those buildings are very old.
Yes,
Very historic.
yeah. So all that area was created about the same time that, California had been admitted to the Union, and so this is all keeping in that same spirit of progressive
Changes.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that you have lost some resources in your library, like tax information, tax law. Can I go to a different county's law library and access their tax law?
Well, you're welcome to use resources in any public law library, that's for sure.
Okay.
Now, there may be some differences between the libraries in terms of their circulation policy. Maybe they only check out to people that live in that county, or maybe they only let people that live in that county use the legal databases. So you would have to actually physically go to those libraries if you wanted to make use of, let's say, their tax material that we no longer have. However, all of our collections now are held electronically through either Westlaw or LexisNexis. And those databases are pretty much available at most county law libraries. That's, like I'm saying, those recipes for how the law is used. And they're very expensive, and so the restrictions on that keep us from putting that information onto websites or making it public or putting it on the internet. So you physically have to usually go to a law library in order to access this information. It's just part of the contract.
Of course.
What's great, I should say, about the different libraries and their different systems is that you do probably want to stick with a library that is in your community, because the court that you're going through is going to have its own local rules, local laws.
Oh, of course.
That county law library is going to know better. So they can be more effective in helping you to navigate that system.
So how do we get this vital information back into your law library? How can the public help with the foundation?
Well, like with the tax information or the federal materials, it's something that we need more funding for.
Sure.
If people can donate to the foundation, that's tremendous.
And the public can do that.
They certainly can through either our website or through the foundation's website. Okay. They can help to restore our hours so that we can be open again until 8 p.m. every evening. It's difficult for people to rush into the library at 4:30 and try and get everything done before we close, but
Sure.
they work until 4, so how are they supposed to?
And so the answer to that is to raise more money through your foundation.
Ideally, for now, that is the plan, and then hopefully maybe someday get some leverage with the state government in order to reestablish the way that we are funded.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Well, this was a lot of useful information. The internet is wonderful, but it's great to know there's actual humans ready and willing to help with something as complicated as the law. And now you know you can always visit the San Mateo County Law Library. Thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing all of that information with us. I'm Lisa Charney for Take Notice. Have a safe day.